The tale begins with the upward thrust of Calliope Regina Alfensiad to the top of the dominion of Alfensiad, with her sinister processes to get out of her powerless country that turned into once created by the so referred to as stepmother of her father, the king. The ruthlessness of Calliope begins so she will upward thrust to the throne to capture the whole thing she wants, and in the end, reaches the sky-high height as she crosses the final boundary by way of executing the crown Prince Schneasel after coming back from the battlefield. The scene of her own brother being finished in the front of her gets the princess speechless as she continues to have a look at the decapitated head rolling in front of her. She couldn't believe that every person should do something so sinister, but it doesn't stop there. Calliope takes it further by ordering the knight to hold the dead head in the front of the castle gates. Even the other siblings of the crown prince get punished for their drama-filled proceedings as they continue to shed tears for their dead brother. Calliope orders the Marquess of the kingdom, Rafalo Farnese, to eliminate them as they totally deserve the fate she is allowing them to have in life. While the illegitimate children of her father get disposed of, Calliope achieves the crown of the king that she had to work for a long time. It is revealed that Calliope changed, was stricken by the king's mistress and her children, since she became a child, trying her best to maintain life. Not only she was blackmailed and bullied by the children, but also her very own mother committed suicide by ingesting poison, as she couldn't maintain being tortured by the very woman who changed, was having an illegitimate relationship with her husband. The evil woman strategically painted her mother as a cheating wife, blaming her that she was found committing adultery with a knight secretly. Calliope's luck was so ill-fated that even the person that she used to love, except for her mother, brother Ezekiel, desperately moved out from the abbey with a noble female of his own accord, as he was trying to be the concubine of an old and rich noble to live a better life. All of the calamities struck Calliope separately, as she was powerless, and she had nothing in life except for her great unlucky success. But all of it will now change because she has won the highest position within the entire state of Alfensiad, and now she needs everything back, even her lover Ezekiel Nishes. In the meantime, Panrome city captain of the Silver Knights, Ezekiel Nishes, was desperately searching for a family called Theodore with his men in hiding, and he was thinking of extending the hunt to countries that are farther away from his modern placement. He has the most recognizable face within the entire country, because of his sharp and shining features together with the jawline. While he was busy with the task at hand, he gets called in by the navy of Cardinal Anton, as he was seeking out him for some pressing count. When the captain's face gets out of hiding, it was enough to astonish all the women around him in the city for his immersive beauty that they were ready to witness for quite a while. However, when Ezekiel reaches the chamber of Cardinal Anton, he gets ordered to take his order of knights to visit the dominion of Alfensiad, where he ought to be successful in the call of Duke Hylic, which only suggests that he changed into, certainly, sold to the border kingdom of Alfensiad. While Ezekiel starts his adventure towards the dominion of Alfensiad, all of his squad members seem happy to witness their captain meet his long-lost nobility, as his father Duke Hylic has known, called him back home. Everyone around him changed into feeling glad because they were always able to feel a completely unique and awesome feeling from him that means that he, without a doubt, is probably something more than he is currently. On the other hand, Ezekiel wasn't much happy about the whole incident, as he was left alone at the abbey right after he was born, and only considered calling him in their determined need. However, the others continue to cheer him up by claiming that they will soon be the vassals of the Duke for returning to an earthly existence with him. Meanwhile, the only character who knew of the truth of what changed was, without a doubt, happening in the background is Ezekiel himself, as he recounted everything from the mouth of Cardinal Anton. Despite the fact that Cardinal Anton became acquainted with the violent kingship of bloody Calliope, of her lust for blood and slaughter, he by chance forces Ezekiel to go to Alfensiad on a diplomatic venture, which was, as a substitute, the sugar-coated thought for him. It looks like a minor diplomatic challenge to most, but the unexpected and desperate notion to become the heir of Duke Hylic, in spite of the request made by the royal family of Alfensiad, became rather suspicious, as even the whole royal circle of relatives turned into seeking to make the amends. It created a rather distressing situation for Cardinal Anton because he should never go their way of order in the city. The rest of the data was supposed to be found out by Ezekiel's own father, Duke Hylik. However, the primary reason for him to be known, called into the Dominion, was so he could accept the popularity as the son of the Duke, which within reason, sincere, first of all. But still, the whole call in unexpected desperation looked useless in the eyes of Ezekiel's friends, as none of them bothered preparing much, despite the fact that they were about to connect with their disassociated son after a long time. Ezekiel doesn't seem to be troubled much by the situation, as there is no emotional connection between him and his father. Also, the reality that he isn't much interested in becoming a noble, but all he wanted changed, was to locate the one he loved for his whole existence, the one whom he had promised to come back to. He couldn't maintain up with the pleasure that changed, was rushing into his veins, and decided to reach the royal palace immediately, to get his noble status granted under the notarization of the king and the archbishop, even while questioning where his love is residing within the present. Just the moment Ezekiel finishes greeting the present-day king, Calliope, she starts the conversation by means of speaking the most weird thing a king could say, and starts the wedding ceremony that catches him and the other participants off guard. The marriage was about to start when the pastor starts pronouncing the marriage between King Calliope and Lord Ezekiel Hylik, which enraged the partners of Ezekiel, but he was too phased to even reply to any of it. Ezekiel couldn't help but wonder what was happening around him, as he stood in the front of Calliope speechless. She quickly starts clearing up his confusion by means of stroking her finger on his lips, while revealing that his so-called father, Duke Hylik, has sold him off to her in exchange for his own life. Calliope additionally adds that because she was after the Duke and his own family, none of his sons were worthy of becoming her husband, as considered one of them was too old for her, while the other two were both ugly or female, and the simplest person who was left in any case of them was Ezekiel himself, despite the fact that he isn't the legitimate son. When the execution of all of his sons took the event, the Duke abruptly recalls the only living son he had left in the distant city, despite the fact that being the illegitimate one, only to save his own life. The uncanny scenario that Ezekiel is in right now made him recognize that he has already become the scapegoat for the royal family politics. Typically, no one would allow proceeding with the marriage directly, but his being the distinctly reputed captain of the Panromian Paladins makes him quite the eligible suitor for marriage. Although, the tragedy doesn't stop right there, in any respect, as all of Ezekiel's partners are in a life-threatening situation at the hands of the Royal Navy until he ends up agreeing to take vows at the marriage with Calliope.